Now we
I'll
are.
wait to do that.
All right, it's recording now.
It's I guess a strong 8.
I mean, I know it's not as good as yours, but
Oh, too good, guys. Too good. Well, anyway, I guess we'll get started here. So, welcome to the Not Just Fleet podcast. I'm joined today by Drew and Facundo, and I'm Brent. Combined, we have over 50 years of experience in fleet, and we're all about improving ourselves and the people around us. So, hopefully, you guys kind of enjoy this. Our topic today is our somewhat abrupt shift in what the podcast was named and also our intent with this podcast. So we kind of want to get this out here just to break it out. I know we only released one episode, but we had some changes and we just kind of want to air that out and let everyone kind of know a little bit behind the scenes what occurred. So, Drew, Facundo, either of you guys want to kick it off?
You have that, the car crash type. You said somewat abrupt. I mean, oh my goodness, this is like a total shift. I think everybody expects
the first thing
to come on with 3-piece suits.
there you, there you go. That's Drew driving through the wall there. What I was thinking was I didn't realize we had combined over 50 years experience. I know Drew has like 48 of those.
Yes, baby.
So Brent and I have 3 years experience each. So there we go. I'm just kidding. By the way, no, we don't. Should we say a little bit? So hey,
we did our background episode previously, but yeah, Facundo, jump on it with a little bit of how much time you got and everything.
Yeah. So if this is your first time listening, I've got 26 years. Actually, I had to look at the date. So 26 years. It's my 26th anniversary right around right now. I don't remember when I started at my dad's shop, but 26 years, everything from family-owned mechanic shop, body shop, got into government fleet, spent some time there, got into tech startup, and now I'm on the software side. So that's my 26 years experience. Drew.
Well, you're going to pull the old card on me. I'm going to, get out the AARP subscription. I got 28 years in, on or off-road vehicle experience, but really when it comes down to it, it's probably more like 25 in fleet. I did a couple different stops at some other places, but it's always been fleet, more, honestly, diesel and heavy duty stuff than gas, but definitely for the last 15 years, it's all been kind of light to medium duty gasoline powered vehicles.
Yeah, and to add to it, I have 18 and a half years in government fleet and pushing 25 years between, if I include amateur mechanicking, working on quads and stuff, pushing closer to 35 years. But realistic on the job experience, I have 25 years in the automotive industry.
He just actually penciled in that mustache and goatee today. That is not real, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not. It is 100%.
So it's more than 50. So it's more like it was a lot more than 50.
Yeah. So we could probably update that. I think we're closer to like 75 years.
Yeah. I mean, just make it round it up to a cool 700. I mean, why not, right?
700 years of fleet experience. I mean, if you include the people that we know, we're well over a millennium of knowledge. So
there you go. That's it. So okay, so let's address the elephant in the room, or not in the room. Mike. Yeah, you see how I did that? So our buddy Mike had to drop off because of some things related to work, which make total sense. We have to respect that, and he got into a spot where he felt like the best decision for him was to not be on here full time. That being said, he'll be on here every now and then. What else did I miss? Did I miss anything there?
I think the interesting thing is that we really went from a group of guys shooting some text messages back and forth to a group of guys, getting on a Google chat here and there to saying, all right, we're going to launch a podcast. And then all of a sudden it was like, once you go into the social media or, internet media world, it changes the aspect or the amount of people that it could potentially reach, and the risk it could potentially impose on people's businesses or something like that. And I think that's one of the things that we realized quickly, and we were like, wow, we need to take a real different approach at this. And not real different. You know what? It's gonna still always be, three guys talking fleet, talking life, stuff like that, and trying to just, have the same conversation we would, except for, not on the podcast. But we really uh, realized fast that, wow, this gets out to a lot more people than we ever imagined, and we wanted to, reach out to more people. So we had to kind of make some adjustments to our mission.
No, exactly. Yeah, there's well, to quote the John Wick movies, there's rules and there's consequences. And we got to play in the rules, otherwise people have consequences. So, um we're not about messing with anybody's livelihood or any affiliations that anyone may have with a group, organization, or an employer. So we definitely want to make sure that everyone stays happy with what they have going on. We're just out here as a group of friends, kind of messing around. And, majority of the feedback has been positive. However, as Drew and Facundo both brought up, changes had to be made. And so we're here making the changes. So,
All right, so that addresses Mike. Okay, so we talked about Mike. Bye, Mike. So,
Bada bing, bada boom, he's gone. Just like the
got garlic in his hair. Now that he's not here, we can talk about him, and he doesn't even have a chance to defend himself. So
pantry, right? We'll all miss Mr. Pantry.
dude, you can hit him up in the comments below. Be sure to drive that algorithm for us.
So all right, so let's talk about the other couple things. So the other couple things was we changed the name, and then we changed sort of the focus. Let's go with the name first. I can kick that off. Go ahead. You were going to say something, Brent. Were you going to say something?
I was right there with you on the name change thing. Yeah.
So the name change. So we started to get some feedback. Also, there was previously the unprofessional fleet professional, right? So we had come up with the name, and I think it was actually Brent that had initially, because we were throwing all kinds of names around, and Brent threw something back. We're like, "Oh, that's perfect," because the reason that we wanted to have that name was, hey, we were just gonna have fun with this, and we would be talking about something, and then we would call somebody out, and use a couple four-letter words, and we can still say that. We can still say shit and all that kind of stuff, right? This is after hours, kids are going to sleep, all that kind of stuff. So um, we heard that because of the name unprofessional, some folks were feeling a little uncomfortable with that. And when we kind of took a step back, we started to understand, hey, you're right. Maybe if your name or your organization is somebody who's not familiar with what we're doing or familiar with us and sees the word unprofessional and then their name or their company name, that might not be appreciated very much by others in the organization or other people attached to that person. And so we said, hey, you know what? That's really good feedback. And what that did, and then I'll kick this off to you guys, see if you guys need to have, if you want to add anything to that. But that also forced us to really think about, well, what do we really want to talk about? So anyway, before we get into what we want to start talking about or what we're pivoting to already, title. What do you guys got to add to that?
I got plenty. I straight up threw a fit changing the title name, just so everyone knows. I'm hardcore unprofessional fleet professionals. That was my baby. That was like we literally probably threw around 300 names, and then that one hit, and it just resonated with us that it was like, yeah, that means it's after hours, it's off the clock. We're gonna mention stuff that's not professionally associated. We're gonna talk barbecue. We're gonna talk, whatever. And I will give a little bit that, I'm a little biased to the reverse psychology of a name. Unsubscribed podcast, not to name drop, but they're like my favorite podcast that's out there. And so it was kind of neat that it was like, oh, unsubscribe. Who's going to tell their people to not subscribe to their channel? It's reverse psychology. But after our discussions, somewhat heated, and 1,355 miles on a motorcycle so that I could hit the throttle and beat up the world, it started to make sense, and I understood where everyone was coming from. And, you know, while we have the name change, I don't think our feel is really going to shift all that much. We're still guys that are just hanging out after work. We're bros living in an industry of a common place between us. However, our experiences are different, our knowledge is different, and now our locations are all different. We cover three drastically different sections of the United States. And so going over to this new name and our new brand and our new image, there's a lot more potential there that I think we're going to get a lot better response overall.
I almost said, go ahead. I was going to say we were covering all three corners of the country, but then I was like, wait a second. That doesn't make any sense. So go ahead, Drew. Please say something that makes sense, Drew.
In the Northwest, if there's someone that's really cool that could get along with our shenanigans, hit us up in the comments, send us an email. We're recruiting.
So the one thing that definitely hit home when we got some feedback on the name was we hope in the future, once people get to know what the show is all about and that we're really here to help educate people and also make people better fleet leaders and bring along technicians in the world and things like that, that potentially, we get some guests and we get other, very successful fleet managers or fleet leaders on. And the name just deterred people from wanting it to be in their professional portfolio. And really, it was just a real tongue-in-cheek kind of joke type of name. And it was unfortunate that we had to change it because I think we all really, really liked it. But the greatest thing that happened when Brent had this epiphany was it made me feel like the bond in the podcast was tighter because we all talk about having the same approach to leadership, but with us being able to talk things through, Brent being able to really look and dig deep inside and put his, initial feelings, to the side, it really brought me a little bit more centered and said, yes, I think exactly like these guys, whether it's on the shop floor or leadership, or if we were out shooting a game of golf or something like that, that we're all on the same page. So I think changing the name was, we really came together as a team, and now we're all on the same page, and I think it's going to project the right message.
So now the focus of it. I went first last time, so one of you guys can go first.
Well, I'm going to jump you here, Drew. Our focus is now beyond just fleet. But in the fleet realm, because that is still going to be the primary topic, we're pushing into more the shop floor leadership and the frontline supervisor as kind of our specialization. So how coming up as a mechanic, how you get into the leadership role, how to expand your knowledge and get into that supervisory role, and then how to keep promoting and moving up. But we're not going to dig in like a lot of the other podcasts that are out in the fleet space. We're not going to dig into the numbers. Everyone knows what you're supposed to be watching. If you don't know what numbers and metrics are important, we're not the group for you. If we get enough demand for it, hit us up in the comments. We get like 1,000 thumbs up on something, which won't happen for 80 years. Then we'll go back to those topics. But if, I can think right off the bat, I think it'd be really cool to bring some up and coming technicians on. from different groups, some different supervisors from around the nation, and just some of the people that we know and bring them in. But off topic, we also now get to expand to not just fleet. So we have some different ideas like favorite vacation styles and types and places and non-fleet experience, stuff outside of work that isn't work related at all. Education, different stuff that was whether it's automotive education or traditional education, anything different like that. So we got a whole ton more topics that are available by switching away from a fleet focus. So Drew, jump in here.
And when we talked about changing really what we were going to, produce content on, it kind of made sense because there are some very popular shows out there that are in their lane and they have dug in and got some really good traction and a ton of followers and they're way on their way to hundreds of episodes. And also in their space, there's quite a bit of competition. A lot of people are kind of sort of doing the same thing and in that higher fleet leadership type of lane. And it doesn't really make sense for us, a couple of guys just talking shop, to try to break into that area when Brent and myself and even Facundo, coming up from running his father's shop, like we have a great perspective from the ground up. And Facundo has been there, done that when it comes to leading big fleets and winning all kinds of awards. Brent and I are on our way. We're paving our path, but we're not in the area of 15, 20 years of being on these lists and this and that. So I think we have a better perspective on where we have been and how to move up through the ranks to get to where we are now. And then at this point, kind of talk about some of the stuff that's working for us. But we have so much experience from being a technician, working with other people, building teams, building bonds, overcoming shop level type of confrontations, and then kind of moving our way up. And even myself now, I mean, I'm a one man show, one technician, small fleet. So I think we have a lot of different perspectives where we don't need to get into the lane of all these other larger shows that are already out there.
Yeah, and I think a couple things to add to that is that, you know, one of the things. So I've always there's one question. There's a lot of um, there's a few questions that I've always had in my mind in this space, and one of them has always been kind of like, well, what are you doing about it, right? So it's like there's a technician shortage. Well, what are you doing about it? Well, we're going out to tech schools and we're recruiting, or we're doing this. And I'm like, okay, I've heard that story before, right? I don't know of many podcasts that are going out there to try to talk to, share the stories of the professionals on the shop floor, and even go one step before that, which we've kind of talked about, which is what about the folks at trade schools? And, how are they talking to the folks coming in? And how can we help contribute to their messaging to change, maybe attracting folks that say, hey, when you go to a trade school, and we've talked about this on different episodes, when you go to a trade school, yes, you go to be a technician and all that. Are there tracks that tell you about how you can, the different career opportunities? Because you might have a fleet professional that is in high school, that's or of aspiring fleet professional, maybe somebody wants to be a technician, and they're like, well, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to be a technician because my dad was a technician and he had bad knees, and so was my grandfather, and I don't want to have the same thing, and so I'm not going to be a technician. But if somebody can get a hold of that guy and be like, hey, you can be a technician, you can start as a technician, but then you could be supervisor, you could be, shops, supervisor, you could be, fleet, outside management office position 1, 2, 3, senior level, right? Whatever, fleet manager. Um, And so if nobody's talking to these folks about this, they don't know that, right? So I go back to my question, well, what are you doing about it? Right? This is our opportunity of what we're trying to do about it to try to get the messaging out to folks that there are these career paths available to you, that you don't just have to be a tech. If you want to be a technician your whole career, perfect. Awesome. We need them, but you don't have to be.
I just took something away from that point that you were making, Facundo. All of these schools are worried about attrition rates and things like that. When you potentially are losing people, it may be because, hey, you start to get into the, gear oils and the greases and this and that, and somebody's like, oh, wow, this stinks. I don't want to be involved in this. This is kind of messy. But if you really explore all of the opportunities that just a solid understanding. And when we're talking about these programs, and Brent and I went through a program, 18 months, 24 months. I mean, it's not like it's your whole life. A lot of these are just certificate programs that give you a great foundation. I mean, think where you could really go from there. You could be a service writer. You could be, a parts person, but then run a parts store, right? You could end up selling different, startups that you were in for.
You could open your own parts, business, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could, sell oil, you could sell tires, but how, when you meet some of these salespeople from some of these parts places and they have no idea about what they're talking about, at least going through a program, understanding, okay, I don't want to be a technician, but I want to stick through this program so I have a good understanding and baseline of this information. And then all of these opportunities that it opens for you in life in your professional world.
Yeah. Um, I do have an unrelated question for you, Drew. Didn't didn't Tom Brady just become engaged to what's your face?
Dude,
Taylor
don't
Swift.
even.
Is it Tom Brady and Taylor Swift? Is that the thing? You heard it here, folks. It just happened. Tom Brady and Taylor Swift.
So a good friend of Facundo's and mine is a huge Kansas City fan. Well, he was going to talk to another fleet, colleague of ours, and when I talked to, my friend who was going to go talk to the Kansas City Chiefs guy, I said, hey, make sure you bring up that Swifty thing that's going on and act like you don't know what it is. And dude, he started to give him a hell of a time, and I was laughing after he was telling me the story. It was perfect.
I
But
had to bug
hey,
you about your Tom
it,
Brady.
it's going to be Tom Brady versus the Patriots again this coming Sunday. The Raiders and Patriots are up at 1 o'clock, home opener, and dude, I love it.
I don't know who to not root for.
Yeah, see if they both can lose. We haven't seen that yet, but maybe they both can.
Yeah, yeah. Can we get a perfect zero here? I mean, damn.
On Brent, you don't watch football at all, or you just don't like the Raiders because now they've come and just taken over your city.
Oakland Raiders were fine where they were. The problem is Oakland came with them.
I see. Yeah, too many transients. They were fighting with too many people over there. Too many California football teams. We can get one for a region in the Northeast. I mean, it's 5 states or whatever, and
I'll be perfectly fine. Like, let's shift them over to Utah, or let's have the Montana Raiders. That would be epic.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
Open air stadium. It'll fit like 13 people, the whole population of the state. It'll be great.
I don't want to offend anybody from Montana, but wasn't like the roster or just the organization of the Raiders larger than the population of Montana?
Probably. I mean, it would up their tax base considerably. So that Montana, think about it.
Yeah. All right. So what are we missing here? What else are we missing? So I think we covered it pretty good. I mean, what we want to talk about, focusing on, and kind of thinking about, and Brent, you said this, kind of thinking about what's out there. Like, right, if we're talking about the same thing that other folks are talking about, then people are just hearing the same thing over and over again. So if we can talk about something else, and then the people that are listening to us are like, hey, I'm all grown up now. I'm ready to graduate. What do I listen to? We could be like, hey, you listen to these couple guys. You have some more content.
Keep listening to us though, because we're cool. We're way cooler.
Super cool. Super.
That's what we definitely need. Like, subscribe, and hang with the super cool kids, who maybe aren't really cool at all. That's for sure.
We
Hey,
just tell just the three of us. All we just got to tell ourselves we're cool. That's it. Doesn't matter else than anybody else.
hang on. Let's make sure this gets up there. Yeah, pat ourselves on the back. Oh yeah.
There you go. Good job. Well done. Yeah. That looked pretty good. I didn't realize you're that flexible.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Spin a couple of these, topics that we've touched on back into our own fleets when, you're talking to employees or when you have your vehicle going down the road. And this is one of the things that I always battle with because, again, being in the Northeast and these guys driving these huge ambulances down these tight city streets, they're banging into things. And if I wanted the, perfect, most pristine vehicle to be going down the road, it'd be in the body shop all the time. But we touched on it a little bit earlier, the amount of people that the show hits or the impact that it has. I mean, that's the same thing that goes on with your fleet. You have a truck that's all banged up going down the road. Instantly, the community's like, wow, I got this ambulance that's coming to pick me up, and the thing looks like it just came from the crash up there. What type of providers ride inside the truck, So all of these different aspects that your image portrays to your stakeholders it's enlightening once you kind of see all these things. And I think another interesting aspect is like the customer service. You have how many ever employees work with you. We have 150 employees, and you have one provider come in, and we don't treat them with the utmost respect. And I did this one time to a provider, and it was very enlightening. I forget exactly how she put it. I don't know if she said, "Don't dude talk to me," or I forget what it was, but pretty much what I was trying to have a conversation with her and get a description of something that was going on with the vehicle. And I really tried to break it down to the most simple explanation possible, and it actually like insulted her intelligence. And I didn't know that I was doing that. I wasn't doing it on purpose, but once she said that to me, it really resonated home that, hey, I'm gonna talk in pretty technical terms how I would expect to be talked to. And then if somebody has a question, they'll ask me the question. Almost assume that they know what you're talking about. And then if they want clarification, they'll ask for it. Don't break it down and almost make it seem like you're talking to a child. So then if you have this type of interaction with an employee and they aren't as open and understanding as the issue that I had, now it presents out to the entire company, hey, don't take something to the fleet shop. They're going to treat you like you're an idiot. And, you never want to, be open and honest to the fleet shop because they're a bunch of jerks down there and they're going to, make you feel belittled. And, so again, all the stuff that you have going on in your shop, it just resonates so much further than you could ever imagine. And that's kind of what happened with the show and why we, went to the little rebrand.
So I do, before we jump off into anything else, I have one little snippet that I want to throw in here. So anyone that's been following the page and getting the YouTube notifications the past couple weeks and for the next couple weeks about these shorts that make no sense, and you're never going to get to see the episodes. We have 4 episodes that are now coined the lost episodes.
Like the Tupac records, right? The never found Tupac records.
But they're stuck in purgatory of the internet, and they're never intended to be released. There was some really good material, so we're probably going to go back and revisit some of those ideas. But when you guys see these shorts and everything, give a thumbs up and everything. I know we're not pushing it on LinkedIn. We're not putting anything out there on that. But if you don't throw any material out ever, people disappear, and we want to keep that engagement going. So do me a favor, even if you don't ever see anything and it doesn't make sense, just know that those are the lost episodes. And, if we get enough demand and then get the final approvals, they might show up in like 10 years. But for now, they're pretty much dead to the internet. But yeah, I just want to bring that up real quick before we scurry off into our next topic.
All right. Anything else, Drew? You gave me an idea though when you're talking about the story you just told. I always talk about the fleet elevator pitch. Um, that's typically for the fleet manager. I think there is a technician elevator pitch, right? And I have a couple ideas of what that is. That can be a whole different podcast, but really, there's an elevator pitch at every level. There's a supervisory kind of level. There's a technician pitch. Um, anyway, we can. That's a whole different episode, but that's something an interesting little idea that I've got brewing.
I almost kind of like it. Should we just go with it?
What do you mean now? No,
No? All right.
no,
We're
no,
gonna build some
no,
more material. He's not
no, no, no,
prepared for it.
no. I've got a couple like bullet points there, but I don't have enough. I don't
It's
have
like
enough.
throw it on the sheet. All right. So we went, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw us into a whole new direction here. So that's basically the backstory on why the name changed, why some of the things are shifting a little bit. But we are still planning eventually to have some guests on here. So again, if you're interested and you want to tell your story, no matter what level you're at, let us know a little bit about what it is. Kick us an email. We're still rocking the old email address because I'm lazy and don't feel like doing another Google email address. But yeah, hit us up in the email, hit us up in the comments, let us know. LinkedIn is another great place. Join in the conversation about the podcast on there. But for now, let's go not fleet. So I know most of our backgrounds we've kind of talked about already, but what non-automotive or not fleet jobs have you guys had? And like this
Okay.
is all the way back to like what was your just bullshit high school job?
Yeah. I worked it was kind of like the office. I worked in my first, I guess you could call it, job, was at a, when you paid with a credit card, you would scan it through the credit card processing machine. So they made those and then they sold the service for the credit card processing. So I did that actually.
Don't lie, dude. You're still of the age where they had the carbon copy thing, and you had to rip the pages out.
That
That's the
was
machine that they were making, dude. In the
they had
service
I
was
did
you running
see
around like a little monkey with carbon copies.
some of those. I did see some of those, but no, that was the tech back then. This was it was this 97 or 98, 97, 98. So it was the scan the machine that you would run your credit card through, and it would process it, and they would get a slice of the transaction. I would leave school for that.
Were you there in 1999 prepping for Y2K?
Oh, I mean, I was.
Did you put the stickers on everything? It's Y2K compliant.
Oh no, I was actually, but I think I vaguely remember having that question and having to ask because I would work there a little bit more in the summer, so I would take on a little bit more kind of responsibility. And I think somebody did have that question, so I was like, "Hold on, let me ask my boss."
Lobby of this place, they had a pager store, by the way, as well.
Yeah, it was a pager store. We would text 143 to it.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, so that was my first job, and then around that time, I also worked at the Gap, um, which that was fun, and that was really it. And from there, I started working at my dad's shop. Not too long after that. What about you guys?
Shortest stint ever was about 3.5 days at Mickey D's. It was the worst job in the whole wide world. People were yelling at you. It was running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And after the third, it's actually the only job that I've ever quit and left like immediately. I took off like the Ronald McDonald like hat that I was wearing. I had like I was standing out there out in front of the store, and I threw that down on the ground and ran away. Not a couple of cool, you think that you've been in jobs forever, but I worked at Mickey D's for 3 days, and then I got a job next door at this Italian restaurant, and it was the greatest thing ever. It was the typical Italian family, and you had the mother, and she was very coddling and welcoming, and you'd come in after school, and she'd send you downstairs to the little room where they stored all like the tablecloths and napkins, and she'd give you this big old meatball sub. The thing was like 7 pounds, and you just sit down there and hammer on that thing until work started. And then I washed dishes, man, and I was covered in more fettuccine alfredo and oh my God, lobster raviolis. You came out smelling like a dumpster after that place. But then I had a short stint at a gas station, and it was full service. And the coolest thing was is it had a cement platform like that they put the pumps on most gas stations. And we had a great idea kind of later on, right before it was about to close. So it's probably 10 o'clock at night or whatever, quarter or 10, and my buddies would come by and we'd take and do like a water pit on the edge of the platform, and they would pull up in opposite directions and just hammer out the biggest smoke show ever and take off, and then we'd like shut the lights off real quick like we were closed. It was awesome. It was like how we closed it every night, and the boss would come in to pay us, and dude, it looked like a drag strip. There was just fat tire stretches all across the driveway. It was awesome.
Nice.
That's epic.
Brent, you're up. First job.
First job was Jiffy Lube.
Non-fleet.
That was automotive based. So I get to retake that I'm the child of the podcast. So bye, Mike. Bye. But yeah, so my first and only non-automotive job was Best Buy. I had the greatest, most fun, most absolutely just wrecked the entire time, 40 days working at Best Buy.
That's a long tenure there, bud.
That was a long time. Dude, I went from nothing, like starting out there with nothing, to being employee of the freaking quarter in 40 days.
You got fired. What happened? You said 40 days?
Well, I didn't get fired. That was the funny part. So I started there in late October. And when I got hired, the position was supposed to be for a full-time, part-time employee, not a seasonal employee, because Best Buy hires everyone for Christmas season and everything. And I was supposed to have been hired right before that, so all I had to do was 30 days, and then if there was like emergency leave or something needed, before I got hired, told the hiring manager and everything, hey, my mom got me a ticket to go home for Thanksgiving. I can't work that Friday, but I will be there to relieve staff on Saturday, so I couldn't work Black Friday. And
Fired.
Mutually expelled.
Okay, there you go. There you have it. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, especially when you're a rookie, right? You can't work Black Friday, get out.
So it was one of those that it was kind of weird the last day walking out the door and everything, because it was literally 3 days prior to that I got the employee of the quarter or whatever the hell the award was. I believe it was quarter. Yeah, no, it was so much fun though. There's still people that I like chat with on Facebook and everything like that. And this was, in fall of 2005. So, 20 years later.
Now I'm actually reading How the Mighty Fall by Jim Collins. And what he does really well when he's comparing all these different companies, I'm right in the middle of where he's comparing Circuit City to Best Buy. and what Circuit City wasn't doing so hot, and what Best Buy was doing really well, and it's kind of really interesting. And it was right before, I think he's talking about the time frame right before that you got fired. Well, mutually agreed upon.
Well, so to bring about what Best Buy was when I was there, which is also hilarious because the movie came out at the exact time. The 40-Year-Old Virgin. That was the Best Buy that I worked at. It
Come on, they
was
filmed it there?
no. Like they didn't film it there, but the way that everything worked, the ridiculous after work parties, like we were using washing machines in the back of the store because we came in reeking of alcohol from the night before because the party went until 5 a.m. and we had to be there at 6 to get prepped and open. Like we're literally doing laundry in the back of the store. So some demo units, you know.
Or you got to test it. I mean, a chef's got to taste his food. You got to test out the washing machine.
We're good.
All right. What else? Anything else? I got an early flight to catch tomorrow. So like super early. Like I got to get up like Brent style tomorrow.
Oh boy, are you gonna have time to do your hair before then, or are you just gonna try to sleep with one of those bonnet?
Gonna put a bonnet. Yeah, he'll put a bonnet on and call it good.
I'm just going to spray it with like a ton of hairspray tonight and just see what happens in the morning. Just wake up with my hand stuck to my head.
You're part of the reason that the ozone layer is depleting.
Yeah, I gotta, let's see, what time? I was just looking at my phone. I think my flight boards at 4:40, and my airport is 40 minutes away, door to door. Hopefully, if anybody's at TSA at that time, I'm gonna start punching people in the face at that time.
Don't tell
So
TSA that. You kiss them on the forehead just like you do your wife and send them through the x-ray machine and say thank you.
yes, thank you very much. So I gotta, well, let's see. I'll probably, man, I don't want to think about what time I gotta get up. And so I gotta wake up earlier than you, Brent, relatively speaking. Yeah. You might not even be asleep by the time I go to sleep, by the time I wake up.
Probably.
Yeah.
All
Well, I
right.
think the most important thing that we kind of covered tonight was we just want everybody to know that we changed the title of the show for a great reason, so that way we can spread our message across the industry and everybody accepts us for who we are and where we're going and the people that we're trying to contact, without kind of pushing anybody away. So jump on board and let's see where this wild ride takes us, and like and subscribe and share it with everybody else. That's for sure.
Just don't follow Tom Brady online though. No, actually, you know what? I like Tom Brady. I'm just messing with you because you got the shirt on. I actually like Tom Brady. Anything else? That's very well said, Drew, by the way. Brent?
I like it. That's 100%. That's what we're about now. We're pushing forward with this. And yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, comment below. Excuse me, still a little unprofessional over here. But yeah, no, we're here. We're here to have fun. We're here to have the boys chat with everybody. And as we've said multiple times, if you want to be a guest, if you're interested, comment, give the thumbs up, do all the stuff. Let's grow. Let's grow this community. And yeah, if there's stuff that you want to hear us chat about, topics or anything like that, you want our opinion, let's build the community together and keep this thing going. I think that we have a little bit of a different market and a different feel than most of the other podcasts out there, especially in the fleet space. So, we want to keep this going. So we appreciate everyone that has stuck around with us through our sporadic shift of direction here. And yeah, thank you all so much.
Bye. You do it better. There you go.
Bye.